Welcome to the Wrexham Coffee Matchup. I'm Dave.
And I'm Courtney. Each week, we'll take a few minutes to catch up on the latest news from Wrexham. From matchups to transfers, on and off the pitch, we'll share our takes on it all.
So grab a coffee and join us.
Hey, Dave, welcome back.
Welcome back. I hope you're enjoying your Easter weekend.
Oh, it's been nice and full of sun, and you can't ask for anything more than that.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm always jealous. I've said this the other day to people that you guys get Good Friday and Easter Monday off, which we get neither. Yep. But I did arrange my work schedule around so that I could have Friday off just to kind of enjoy, celebrate. And I was grateful. I didn't need it because the match was over by 9:00 Pacific time. But it was nice to have the day.
I meant more the result, but
the result
we can
to
talk
decompress.
About that later.
We will talk about that. But it's interesting. So I got some feedback from last week. And it's not often that we talk about the feedback that we've received from topics that we talk about. So last week we did our little trivia fun facts section. Mm-hmm. And some people really enjoyed it. We got some nice comments on that, and they want to hear more. And so we'll I think in the future we'll revisit and find some additional fun facts. But I think that we should be encouraging some urban legend exploration from our Wrexham, friends who live in Wrexham.
Sure.
Because as our friend Glenn told us, there's the urban legend that's very widespread about the secret tunnels underneath the church that lead to the pub. And I feel
I just would like to know which pub, and I'm happy to go explore that.
I think next time we're there, we'll go to St. Giles Church, we find that trapdoor, and then just see where it takes us, right?
Perfect. Nothing bad can come of that.
Get our torches. Maybe we'll find another King James Bible or something. We'll be ready to go,
Perfect.
So just a few minutes ago, so we're recording on Sunday, and just a few minutes ago, the women completed their season. Unfortunately, it was a 2-1 loss against Swansea. Yeah. Swansea played very well.
But just that match.
Just
overall for the season,
it did not affect their championship victory standings where they won the Adron Premiership. But the reason I wanted to bring it up and mention it is because they did the trophy presentation today.
Good.
And so it was really nice. I believe there was over 1,000, if not 2,000 people at the Rock there to watch as they received their medals for getting their championship, and they got the trophy and they did the whole ceremony. So.
Yeah, and I think there were around 2,000 or so watching online as well.
Oh, see, that is really exciting to watch. Yeah. And it's just a good celebration for them. And like we mentioned last week, so they qualified for the Champions League, the Women's Champions League, and the qualifying rounds of that will take place in July at some point. So I'll be curious to see how that goes. I mean, there's something like
I was going to say, logistically, I still don't understand, but we have time to learn.
Let's get through this season. Let's finish this season and go from there first.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess we're here. We should talk about the match on Friday. Sorry, Friday.
Okay. I would say there was one thing that came to my mind very prominently at the end of the match on Friday. And that was a question. I want to say a question that you had, a question of the week, in one of our early episodes. And you said, something along the lines of, if we're only going to play 45 good minutes of football, which 45 minutes do you want it to be?
In this week, 100%, the second 45 minutes the second half was crucial, because I feel like if we had played the way we played in the first half, and they played the way they did in the first half, in the second half, which I know that's not likely to have happened. I just don't know if we would have been able to hold on if we had just completely fallen apart. The way I look at it is I have a more positive spin to it than what I just said. Is that I look is that I looked back. This was our third international break this year. So in our first international break, which was way back in September, we had the week off. We came back from the week off. We met up against QPR, and we were stunned with a 3-1 loss against QPR after the international break. We followed that up a few days later with a 3-2 victory over Norwich City. Then we fast forward to November. We had our international break. We
Mm-hmm.
came back and we ended up drawing with Ipswich Town. So we drew Ipswich Town. Then our next
Okay.
match, a 2-0 victory against Bristol City. So
I
here
think
we
I
are.
might see where you're going with this.
So here we are in March, now April, but we had our March break. Came back with this kind of, I wouldn't say it was a bad performance, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more detail. But overall, I think there was things that are very hopeful for the rest of the season. But we had the 2-2 draw where they scored 2 in the first half, we scored 2 in the second half, and no one was really able to close the game either way. But does that mean that in a few days' time, when we meet Southampton, we will follow it up with a victory like we did at Norwich City and a victory like we did at Bristol City? That is my hope.
That is a theory and a half, and I love it.
Especially since you were looking a little bit at the stats of Southampton played Arsenal over the weekend in the FA Cup.
I'm also remembering when we played Chelsea. Now, granted, that match was about 4 days long. Or 3 hours, I don't know, something like that, somewhere in between. And you could see the exhaustion on everybody a couple of days later, right? And so, I mean, obviously, you don't want to like hope that somebody does badly. It's more about hoping that we win. I'm hoping that we can capitalize on what may be a very tired squad.
Right. And
that's what I'm hoping that we can do.
And we'll have had the extra day of rest. And I think that, we both saw how we were playing in the second half. And, we played really well in the second half. We pulled it together. We really kind of came back.
I really thought we were going to get a third goal. I really did.
I thought so too. But that result and people coming out of that match feeling, okay, we started slow. We didn't give it everything in the first half, but we really showed up in the second half. Then we have the extra day of rest that Southampton doesn't have. So maybe that brings us, and I believe we're playing at home, which is always a benefit for us when the fans all show up, right? Yeah. And are excited in a big match like this. So I'm just hoping that we're going to come into this like on the attack and just keep up that attack for the whole 90 minutes. That's my goal, my hope.
That is a tall order.
Right. But we have something we haven't had in recent weeks.
In the last 4 or 5 weeks?
We have
a big something.
We have Kieffer Moore, who was back in action, and he played about 25 minutes on Friday, and he looked good. Yeah, he looked strong. He looked fit. He looked perky. They were pulling him out of the sky like usual. We could talk about that a little bit, but so it's hopeful that
it's an old story now.
It's hopeful that he's back, and I know there's watch.
Do you think
on
he's going to start?
I wouldn't be surprised. And
it's and I wouldn't.
Yeah. So it's interesting because here's the thing. So on Friday's match against West Brom, Smith didn't really have any chances, right? He wasn't given any opportunities to convert them into goals. And I don't think that was by any Wrexham player's fault. I think it's just that West Brom was working on the assumption that if you take down the front guy, you cut off the goals, right? And so there were some takedowns that Parkey was complaining about against Smith. And then also later we saw when Moore came on, they were doing kind of the same to him, one of which probably should have been a penalty in the box and wasn't called. And so we're going back to that when you have the single front man and you just focus on taking him down, then it's up to everybody else kind of filling up the gaps to make it up. And luckily this time we were able to, right? So we had excellent goal from Josh Windass to start the second half. It was how I it was
like he said the pep talk worked.
You say that, it's more I look at it him less of the singing angel and more of there is no way we are going to lose this match. oh hell no, I'm going to score this goal. And that's kind of what he did, right? And then we saw, Lewis O'Brien made that beautiful play that Dobson ended up flicking in at the end. And so there was a lot of it gelling together, and really the midfield worked together really excellently. We brought on Broadhead later on in the match. We brought on Rathbone for the last 5 to 10 minutes to try to seal the deal. Unfortunately, it didn't work. But it's so it was all of that working together. And I will have to say that I think the shout out though of the match is the real reason why we only ended in a draw and did not lose the match comes down to our King Arthur, where he made the most interesting, physically impossible body deflection, where he saved that goal attempt with his hip. That
physically impossible for anyone else. But he defies physics.
Yeah, somehow it was crashing down to the ground. It hit his hip, and that just got enough force to go over the goal when it should have gone in. And that was just a beautiful thing to watch. But I did hear that Parky in the post match, he's lodging some complaints against the refs.
Yeah, I've heard about that as well.
And apparently he does that quite often. And he's the first to, whenever he disagrees with the reffing, and especially about the unfairness of the reffing, if it's uneven one side or the other. And he said that in the past that he has lodged complaints with the head referee of the EFL, and they have agreed with him. Now there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, that's my question is, okay, but then what next?
And then I guess they get called into the boss ref's office and they have a little talk and they wag their finger. I don't know what really happens, and that we all just grumble about it for weeks afterwards. And hope we don't get the same ref again for the rest of the season. But there were the case specifically. I think he said that Smith had some really unfair attacks against him. More pull down should have been, if not a penalty, at least should have even maybe been a yellow card.
Which one? I didn't see anything.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, overall, we got the point.
Yeah, we got the point, which, look, if you tuned in at or near halftime, you would have thought, all right, well, we're not going to get anything, right? So the fact that we got two goals in the second half and stopped them from scoring a third, okay.
And there were other draws on the players that are also fighting for contention. Ipswich and Southampton didn't play over the weekend. That game's delayed a few weeks because of the Arsenal match. So we're still very,
but that also
very
makes me so nervous, right? Because they are just behind. They are chasing on our tails, and they have a match less. So this match on Tuesday is no question. It is a must-win situation.
It is absolutely a must win. So as you mentioned, they're right behind us in 7th place, just 1 point behind because they've played one less match. They didn't play on Friday. When we played them way back in August in the opener, and we talked about this a little bit last week. This was our first tale of two halves, where we came out great in the first half and just couldn't hold on till the end. But we're looking to sort of avenge that loss. We're at home. We'll have the energy. They'll be, like you said, they'll be tired. They'll be exhausted. And let's see and I'm sure that Parky was studying that match against Arsenal, watching very closely to see how they played, and kind of giving us those tips and tricks we need to get in there and do it, Yeah. So we have that coming up on Tuesday, the 7th. And then
we've got another match next week too, right?
Yeah. So followed on Sunday, the 12th, April 12th, against Birmingham City away. So Birmingham City. So I was just going to say, this is the match that starts at, for me, it's 1 p.m. And so it's a 4 a.m. 4 a.m. So it's 12
o'clock
in the UK time. Now, interestingly, so we have 4 Saturday matches, 4 Saturday or Sunday. We have 2 Saturday and 2 Sunday matches coming up in the next
until the end
weeks.
Until
the end of the season. 3 of them start either at noon or 12:30 UK time. So for those of us diehards,
make sure that the batteries in your alarm clocks are new, although no one uses an alarm clock anymore. But
Right. So,
Oh,
so yeah,
wow.
there's a lot of early. So schedule's kind of messed up. There's like it's not consistent Saturday matches, but like this is the run into the season, and there's only 6 matches to go. So,
Yeah.
but we drew against Birmingham City when we played them back in October, and so we'll be playing them at their home turf this
Hmm.
time, and they have only won one of their last 5. So they're in a bit of a rough patch at the moment, and so hopefully we can take advantage of that. Yeah.
And looking to make a point. So hopefully we can not let them, not let them. That would be
Not let
great.
them. Not let them. Yes. Yes.
All right. So lots to look forward to.
Absolutely. Lots to look forward to. And we're just going to hang on and brace ourselves for the next 6 matches to go because we're still on playoff watch.
We are.
And we're both keen to make those playoffs. So
Let's see. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us this week. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
you can also email us at wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. All one word. That's wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at wxmcoffeematchup.
From the cop to your coffee cup, that's all for today's Wrexham Coffee Matchup. Keep it brewing, keep it red, and as always, up the town.